The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. For the first time in many years there was no war. No screams, no explosions, no flashing lights in the dark sky of space, only silence. Alien ships floated like empty cans in space, their engines dead, their weapons cold. Communication systems were offline. Nothing was working and no one knew why on the central planet of the Galactic Council. The leaders of many alien races sat around a huge black table. Their faces were full of fear. They looked at each other, not speaking. Some of them had never even been afraid before, but now something was different. Something had changed. One old alien general spoke first. His voice was low and shaking. He said, "I think the humans have returned." Many around the table gasped. Some laughed nervously. "Humans," one said, "they are gone. They left the galaxy 100 years ago." Another one whispered, "Yes, after we betrayed them." They looked at a screen in the center of the room. Data was missing. Ships were gone. Entire fleets lost in hours. All without a trace, and every time only one word was left behind, burned into metal. Into walls, into empty ships. Return, the story of humans, was a sad one. They had entered the galactic stage late, compared to other races. Humans were wild, emotional, and fast to fight. But they were also fast to learn and fast to adapt. They had strong hearts and stronger minds. For a short time, humans fought side by side with the other races in the great galactic war against the machines. But when the war went bad, the aliens made a decision. They sacrificed Earth to save their own worlds. They sent the machines to the human homeworld and watched from far away as Earth burned. But the humans did not die. They vanished, and no one ever saw them again, until now. Somewhere, far from the council, an alien patrol ship moved through deep space, slowly looking for signals. The captain yawned, bored. Nothing ever happened in this area. Suddenly, all lights on the ship went red. Alarms started, but no one knew why. The radar showed nothing. No ships, no asteroids, only empty space. Then a message appeared on every screen in white letters on black background. "We are coming." Before anyone could speak, the ship exploded from inside out back on the council planet. News arrived fast. Another ship gone, no reason, no enemies, no sign. Only the same message. The leaders were now truly afraid. One of them asked, "What if the humans never died? What if they went somewhere and got stronger?" Another replied, "What if they are angry?" The council sent scouts to the edge of the galaxy, hoping to find answers, but all they found were ruins. Silent ships and strange marks written in old human languages. Messages like, "Justice is coming. Remember Earth." This is just the beginning. One message was clear and simple: forgive nothing. In the dark side of the galaxy near a red sun, a single ship came out of a wormhole. It was old yet new, covered in armor with glowing blue engines and sharp wings. The symbol on the side was clear, a red circle with a black line through it, the mark of the Earth Alliance inside the ship. A human captain sat alone looking at a map of the galaxy, his eyes calm, his face cold behind him. Many more ships were ready, thousands waiting in silence. Ready for war, he spoke only once. "This time, we do not run." The ship moved forward slowly, followed by others, and as they disappeared into the stars, one thing became clear. The silence was only the beginning. The fire was coming. The galaxy was still trying to understand what was happening. Why were fleets going missing? Why were outposts destroyed with no warning? And why did every attack leave only one strange sign, a message written in old human style? "We are back." The alien races could not agree on what to do. Some wanted to fight back. At once, others said they should hide and wait. But deep inside, they were all afraid not just of war, but of something worse. Revenge. In the edge of the Drelac sector, a mining station floated alone above a crystal planet. The workers were busy collecting rare minerals used for weapons and ship engines. They had no weapons, no shields. They were not soldiers, just workers. Then one of the guards noticed something strange. A dot on the radar. It moved fast, too fast. Before he could say anything, the lights went out. The station was dark. Only the sound of metal creaking filled the halls. Then a voice came from the speakers. It was soft, calm and human. "This is not a warning. This is justice." A moment. Later, the entire station shook as invisible weapons sliced through its walls. Not one worker escaped, but the station did not explode. It was left floating, dead silent. A ghost in space back at the Galactic Council. Another meeting was called. Leaders of the strongest races were there. Many shouted at each other. They blamed each other for helping the humans before some said this was a lie. Others said the humans had become monsters. But no one had any real answer. They had never faced an enemy that attacked with silence and disappeared without a trace. Then, the human message appeared again, this time on every major galactic screen in every city on every planet. We do not seek peace, we seek balance, and balance requires memory. Millions watched in fear. No one knew what balance meant, but the word memory. It hurt because everyone remembered. They remembered how the humans were betrayed, how their cities were sacrificed, how their leaders were ignored when they warned of the machines, and how Earth was left alone to burn on a small moon far from the galactic center. A young alien soldier stood watch. He was nervous and always afraid something might go wrong. He looked at the stars every night, wondering if the humans were real. His commander told him it was just propaganda, a way to scare the younger troops, but deep inside he knew the stories were true. One night he saw a light in the sky. Not a star. Not a ship. Something different. It came closer and closer, faster than anything he had seen before. His hands shook. He tried to send a warning, but the system was jammed. The last thing he saw was a giant human battleship covered in glowing red lines and a wave of smaller ships behind it. They flew in silence, but their message was loud. We remember. Within minutes, the moon base was gone. Not a single signal was sent out. The other nearby stations only saw the explosion and then nothing. On the human ship, the captain looked at a screen showing the destruction. His face showed no joy, no hate, only duty. He spoke again. We will take no prisoners. We will make no deals. We are not here to talk. We are here to end this. One of his officers turned to him and asked, "How far will we go?" The captain looked back and answered, "As far as it takes." And so the first strike began. Humans attacked. Outposts they hit. Communication hubs they destroyed. Weapon factories. Every attack was fast, silent, and deadly. And still no one saw a human face. They were like shadows, ghosts in space, bringing fear and silence wherever they went. One by one, planets fell not from bombs but from fear. Governments started to fall apart. Military leaders ran. Citizens asked the same question again and again. What if the humans never wanted war? What if they only wanted to be treated with respect? And what if now it was too late? The stars were no longer safe, and deep in space the human fleet kept moving, quiet, focused, and unstoppable. The stars were changing. What was once calm now felt cold and strange. Space was full of whispers now. Not real whispers, but fear moving between ships and cities. Leaders spoke in secret, soldiers trained in panic. But no one really knew what they were facing, because the humans still had not shown their faces on a desert planet once used as a trade post. An old alien woman walked through the ruins she had lived through. The great betrayal. She remembered the day Earth burned. She remembered the silence. After, she remembered the voice of a human child calling for help through the static of a dying comm, but no help came. Now, many years later, she saw signs again. Human symbols carved into old metal. A circle, a line through it. Words in human tongue: forgive, never. She sat down and whispered to the wind. They have returned, and they have not forgotten. In the dark corners of the galaxy, some alien races were planning their escape. They knew what was coming, and they had no hope of winning. Some tried to build secret ships to hide in deep space. Others tried to send messages to the humans begging for peace. But the humans did not reply. They only moved forward, far from those desperate attempts. The human fleet was quiet inside. Each ship moved with purpose. Each soldier knew their mission. They were not here to conquer. They were not here to talk. They were here to remember. On one of the lead ships, a young pilot named Maya looked at an old photo, a picture of Earth before it burned: blue sky, green trees, smiling faces, a world lost to betrayal. Her parents had died that day, not in war but in betrayal. They trusted the alliance they believed in. Peace. Now Maya flew in silence, her eyes cold, her hands steady. She spoke to herself. They called us weak. They said we had no place in the stars, but now they run from our shadows. Meanwhile, deep in an alien capital, a historian searched old records. He wanted to understand the humans, Not their weapons, not their ships, but their reason. He read the words of an old Earth general written before the fall: if we are pushed too far, we will not scream, we will not cry. We will disappear, and when we will return like fire. The historian closed the file, his hands shaking. He understood now. The humans had planned this. They had not vanished. They had evolved somewhere far beyond the edge of the known galaxy. They trained in silence. They built in darkness. And now they were the storm. Another strike came this time. It was a planet called Euraxis Prime. It was rich, powerful, and full of high-ranking officials. The humans did not attack with bombs or guns. They simply turned off the sky on moment. It was day the next, total black. Every satellite, every ship, every system went dead. People screamed in the streets. Military leaders ran to bunkers, and then came the message. You left us in the dark, now feel what we felt. No attack followed, just darkness for 5 full days. When the lights came back, there was no sound. Only the silence of fear. No lives were taken, no buildings destroyed, but the people changed. They spoke in whispers, they watched the sky, and they waited across the galaxy. Others began to question everything. Why did the humans not strike harder? Why did they not kill everyone? Was this revenge, or something else in the human command ship? The leader sat alone. His name was Commander Elias. He had lost everything in the fall of Earth. His family, his friends, his future. But he had gained purpose. We are not monsters, he said quietly. We are memory, and they will remember. His second-in-command asked, what if some of them regret what happened? Elias replied, then let them speak through their actions, not their words. And so the mission continued, one world at a time, not always with fire, sometimes with silence, sometimes with fear, and always with a message. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy was starting to understand. This was not war. This was justice. In the cold center of the galaxy, there was a place few knew about, a place built long ago in secret. By the Galactic Council, it was called Vault 9. Hidden beneath layers of steel and shadow, it held records, truths, lies, and one thing no one wanted to remember: the day the Alliance betrayed Earth. Not many had access to Vault 9. But one did. Counselor Farron of the auxiliary race. He had voted to cut ties with the humans 100 years ago. He had smiled when Earth was marked as expendable. He had signed the order himself. But now, as he watched reports of human ships destroying outposts, crippling empires, and silencing planets, his hands began to shake. He ordered his ship to head toward Vault 9. His goal was not to learn. It was to erase, to wipe away the proof, to destroy the memory. But someone was already watching him. Above his ship, a small, human drone floated unseen, silent, recording. Transmitting: Commander Elias watched from the warship horizon. We let him run. Now let him remember. Varen reached Vault 9 in silence. No alarms, no warnings. Just the thick silence of old sins waiting to speak again. He entered using a forgotten code. The halls were dusty, the lights dim. He moved fast, his heart beating louder with every step. Then he reached the chamber. The one locked for 100 years. He opened it, and there it was. The signed order, the council document labeled Operation Ashfall, the plan to sacrifice Earth. Varen stared at it, his face pale, his eyes hollow. In the corner of the room, a projector lit up by itself. A recording started playing. Varen turned slowly. A human face appeared. Young, strong, said it was General Sarah Delane, the last voice of Earth before it fell. Her voice echoed through the chamber. You said we were allies. You said we were family. But when the machines came, you gave them our location. You sent them to us like wolves, and then you watched us. Varen stepped back. His legs weak. Sarah's voice continued. You thought we would be destroyed, but we adapted, we changed, and now we return. Not to make war, but to reveal truth. The screen turned off. Behind Varen, a shadow moved. A human soldier stepped from the dark armor. Black eyes glowing red. Varen fell to his knees. I'm sorry, he said. I was following orders. I was trying to save everyone. The soldier stood still. We know, and now you will help us. On the horizon, Elias received the signal. It's done, he said. The file is copied. The truth is secured. His second-in-command asked, what will we do with the file? Elias replied, we show them not with words but with their own history. Across the galaxy, screens began to flash. Vault 9 was exposed. Operation Ashfall was no longer a secret. People saw the truth. They saw how the Council planned to kill Earth, how they used the machines as tools, how they watched from safe distance while billions burned riots broke out. Soldiers refused. Order citizens demanded answers, and the Council homeworld panic spread faster than fire. This was no longer just fear of human power. This was guilt, raw, open, unforgiving. Many races who once called humans weak now called them just some even reached. Out not with weapons but with silence, hoping silence could say what words could not. But the humans were not done, Commander. Elias stood before his crew now. They know the truth. He said now they remember, but memory is not enough. Justice is not truth. Alone it is action. We move at dawn as the warships prepared. A final message was sent to the galaxy. You forgot us. You erased us. You betrayed us. But we are not ghosts. We are human. And we are coming. The sun rose over the Council homeworld, but there was no warmth in its light. The streets were empty. The skies were quiet. People locked themselves in their homes. Leaders hid in bunkers, and soldiers stood guard with shaking hands. They were not waiting for war. They were waiting for judgment. In orbit above the planet, the human fleet had arrived, not one ship or 10, but hundreds, black ships with glowing red cores shaped like blades of silence. They moved in formation. No sound, no signal. Only one silent message: we are here. Inside the command ship, Commander. Elias stood at the front of the bridge. His officers watched him, waiting for orders. He did not speak for a moment. He simply looked at the planet below, a planet that once ruled over Earth, that once decided humanity had no place among the stars. He raised his hand and the fleet stopped. He turned and spoke. Today is not about destruction. Today is about balance. And to restore balance, the giants must fall. The officers nodded. They knew what he meant. They had seen the files, they had lived. The pain they carried, the voices of those lost on Earth. Across the fleet, weapons powered up, energy flowed through cannons, missile bays opened, but no shot was fired. Not yet. On the planet, Counselor Varen was brought to the Chamber of Truth. He was now a prisoner of both the humans and his own guilt. A camera floated before him, and a human officer stood behind him. You will speak, said the officer. You will tell them the truth, and then you will watch them choose. Varen nodded slowly. His face pale, his eyes tired. He spoke to the camera, and his words were sent to every screen across the galaxy. He told them about Operation Ashfall. He told them how the Council made the plan, how they voted to send the machines toward Earth, how they chose to sacrifice one planet to save many, and how they never expected the humans to survive. The galaxy listened in silence. Some wept. Some shouted. Some turned off their screens in shame. And then the humans gave one more message. We are not here to destroy. But if the Council remains, we will. The people had a choice. Within hours, protests began on hundreds of planets. Statues of Council leaders were torn down. Flags were burned. Meetings were stormed, and one by one the leaders of the old order fell. Some were arrested by their own guards. Some ran and some simply vanished. But the people did not stop. They demanded something new. They demanded peace with strength. They demanded to speak to the humans not with weapons but with respect, and above all they demanded justice. On the orbiting ship, Maya the pilot watched the reports come in. Her heart was heavy, but not with hate. It was heavy with memory. She remembered the fire, the screams, the last call from her mother on a dying Earth. She whispered to herself, "This is not revenge, this is healing." Commander Elias stood before the fleet once more. "The giants have fallen," he said. "And we did not fire a single shot." His officers smiled, not with joy but with peace. A rare peace that comes not from victory but from finally being heard. Across the galaxy, a new signal was sent, not from humans, but from the people of the stars. They spoke with one voice. We remember what we did, and we are sorry. And for the first time in 100 years, human ships received a message of peace. Elias read it and closed his eyes. Perhaps, he said, perhaps there is still hope. But his hand stayed near the command panel because he knew some giants fall, but others rise, and humanity would never again be unprepared. The stars were quiet again, but this time it was not fear. It was something else, something older, deeper, something that had not been felt in the galaxy for centuries, respect. The human fleet remained in orbit above the Council world, but their weapons were cold. Their ships still, their message clear: we do not rule, we remind on the planet below. The people began to rebuild, not buildings or ships, but truth. Trust a new way. The old leaders were gone. The voices that once called humans weak were now silent, replaced by new ones. Voices that spoke of justice, memory, and peace earned through pain. Commander Elias watched from his ship, his eyes heavy with years, his heart full but tired. He had led his people through shadows. He had watched them rise from ashes. He had given everything for this moment. And now he stood at the edge of the future. Maya entered the room behind him. She looked at the screen showing thousands of signals from across the galaxy. Not attacks, not warnings, but invitations, requests, hopes. They want us to lead, she said quietly. Elias shook his head. No, they want us to guide, and there is a difference. The bridge was quiet. Then a soft tone sounded, a message coming in from a planet long forgotten, Earth. They had returned to it in secret years ago. They had rebuilt slowly, stone by stone, tree by tree. Not to conquer, but to remember, and now the new Earth called them home. Elias looked at Maya, set a course. The human fleet turned, not to escape, not to hide, but to go home. As they passed through the stars, people across the galaxy watched, not with fear but with awe. They had seen the power of humanity, but they had also seen its restraint, its purpose, its heart on Earth. The skies were blue once more, the oceans clean, the forests alive. But one place was still untouched, a monument in the center of the old capital, a circle of glass where the first attack had fallen. No one had rebuilt it. No one had dared. It was not a ruin. It was a reminder. When the fleet landed, silence fell across the world. Not one cheer, not one celebration, only quiet steps and eyes filled with tears. Elias walked to the monument alone, his armor dusty, his hands shaking. He knelt and placed a single item on the ground, a patch from the first Earth Alliance, burned at the edges, worn with time. He whispered softly, "We kept our promise." Behind him, others joined: soldiers, pilots, engineers, survivors, children who had never seen the old Earth but carried its blood. They stood together, not as an army, but as a family. Later that night, a message was sent to every planet, every moon, every star. It was the final message of the human fleet. We are not conquerors. We are not ghosts. We are the voice of memory. And memory does not fade. It grows. It teaches. It warns: never forget what happened here and never repeat it. And with that, the humans disconnected their signal. They closed their borders. They turned inward, not to hide but to heal. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The galaxy moved on. Wars came and went, alliances formed and broke, but one truth remained. One lesson was never forgotten. Do not wake the Earth. Children learned it in stories. Leaders kept it in mind. Even the most powerful empires built their strength with care, not because they feared attack, but because they feared silence. The silence that comes before the fire. The silence that came the day humanity fought back, and the galaxy fell silent in fear.